Hi, I'm Mark Shepherd. I'm an acupuncturist in Donington, Chichester, West Sussex. So as I can't put needles in right now to help people, what I want to be doing is looking at some acupuncture theory and seeing how we can apply this ourselves to help ourselves. So this is going to be in terms of how we're reacting to situations. It can be this current situation or other situations. If we understand a bit more about how we tick, we can understand why we respond in the way we do. Because what we're going to be looking at are 5 different person types, and we're going to be starting with one of those today. What we'll be dealing with is how you might be feeling or experiencing life in terms of in a negative perspective. But because you are within a person type, it also means you have the capacity to display the positive aspects. And we're going to be looking at how we might bring this out in ourselves. And I can't be doing this with needles right now, but by understanding we are in a particular grouping, then we do have the capacity to be firing on all cylinders and displaying the very positive aspects. So as we talk about it, this is going to make a bit more sense. How we're going to be doing this to help ourselves is by actually saying to ourselves that, you know what, we can be like this. Or better still, the best way to do it is to say, do you know what, I am like this. Before you're facing a particular situation or a bit of that situation. So how could that possibly work? Well, people go for coaching. Loads of people go for coaching. People make great careers out of coaching. What we're doing is doing some self-coaching. Because by understanding ourselves, we can understand where we can possibly go. Right, we're going to speed this up a bit because there is quite a lot to get through. But we're going to take one of the 5 personality types a day. Today we're going to be dealing with a personality type referred to as wood. All of these personality types have names associated with nature because the quality of the name is reflective of how people behave, and how people behave is reflective of nature. And it's a good way about chatting about something. If you want to use an analogy, it just makes sense. So let's have a work through this and see how it goes. So yes, there are 5 different personality types. What's very important to remember is that we have the emotions associated with and the personality traits of all of them. But what we're looking at here is what is our default setting. If you think about your friends all being in a particular situation, you can pretty much guess how your friends are going to respond to a given situation if you know them well enough. And it's because it's their personality trait. You know how friends are going to react in a crisis. You know how friends are going to react if you try and give them a surprise party. Some of them will be like absolutely bowled over and over the moon, and some of them hate it. It's all about personality types, and we can see what we can take from this. So today we're going to look at the wood element. Now, so you think about wood element, you think about trees, you think about springtime, you think about pushing up, development, growth. We can think about strength, but also for the strength to be there, it needs to be flexible. Brittle wood just breaks. If it's flexible, bends like the willow, you have strength. So something is brittle, it's very ungiving. Something that is flexible is able to move and adapt. So let's have a little look at a bit more detail. What we could be experiencing in times of stress or just generally in our lives, it's just how we are. If this is the one most particular to us, our default setting, if you like, is that we might find ourselves overly expressing anger or finding an inability to express anger, to actually put ourselves forward. So neither of which can be particularly helpful if we just find ourselves forever flying off the handle. So we can find ourselves with a propensity to overstructure, so be far too regimented, which then moves into the inflexibility side of things, and we become overly structured and we try and impose that structure on others. At the other side of things, other end of the spectrum, we can find ourselves totally unstructured, have an ability to be not an ability, we have an inability to structure. So we might seem very carefree in how we handle things, but that can actually be a bit of a mask because we can't actually structure things in the first place. So Then we have an inability to make decisions. But before that, let's go to an inability to make plans, which is kind of like structuring. So how are we going to plan? How are we going to deal with this new situation? And new situations need new plans, but maybe we just have an inability to do it. Some people have fantastic inability to plan, but they can't then make decisions. So if you can't make the decisions, the plans are going to go nowhere anyway. So that can be how we might experience things. It's not exhaustive, but it's how we might experience things when we're feeling impacted, when we're feeling not at our best. But because we are in this same personality trait grouping, we do have the capacity to display the best. So right now, if you're feeling, do you know what, I'm just bursting out with anger all over the place, or you just can't assert yourself. If you're feeling that, do you know what, I've got absolutely everything regimented, it has to follow this, or everything's going to blow up, or you just can't, you don't know how to put a day together. If you're feeling like you're just over planning, or inability to plan, or you just can't make a decision, because you're in this group, you do have the capacity to be appropriately assertive. And why is that important? So if we're working with people as part of a team, or leading a team, or we're working as part, if you like, in our family units, either being a part of the family unit or trying to lead a family unit, being appropriately assertive is how things are going to work better. So forever shouting at people isn't going to help. An ability for them to look to us for leadership, but we can't do it, that doesn't help. So, but know that you do have the traits, you have the ability to do so. We'll get onto more in a minute. So know you have the ability to be flexible. Know you have the ability to make decisions. Know you have the ability to come up with structure. And know you have the ability to appropriately plan. So how do you actually go from A to B? How do you go from the not to the do? Simply tell yourself that you can in the present tense. Not tell yourself you can, tell yourself you are that. You do have that in the present tense. So, if you think that's a load of rubbish, well, what about if you're going to go and try and do some sporting event? Try and do something new. If you tell yourself you can, you're far more likely to do it than if you tell yourself you can't. I did a little exercise, which you can go back to on a previous post, with people pushing the arm down. Tell yourself you can't, guess what? The arm comes down. Tell yourself you can, you've got the strength. Surely if your mind listens to your body, your mind can listen to you. So to say in the present tense, if you're looking at something, you don't know where to go with it, say to yourself, you know what, I am a good planner, I'm going to do this, bang, do it. If you find yourself blowing up, I can be appropriately assertive, I am appropriately assertive. Okay, take a deep breath, start again, and just go through the list. I can make good decisions, go from there. And if this sounds like rubbish, well, this is kind of what coaching brings. Coaching says, well, this is where you are, this is where you could be, so what are we going to do? Do some exercises, practice. Is it all going to go right straight away? Probably not, but you're building your inner self towards being where you want to be. With needles, it's quite interesting. There are points within the acupuncture theory which are to help people with flexibility, to help people with the ability to say no, help people with the ability to push themselves forward, or ability to see the wood from the trees in this particular example. Right, I've got to stop before we get to 10 minutes, otherwise this will not load up properly on some formats. I'm going to go through some other ones. Have some self-belief. How bossy. Try it. Try it and practice. So by an understanding of ourselves, we can understand where we could be. If we're in this personality group, why can't we be firing on all cylinders? Nobody fires on all cylinders all the time, but we can take a deep breath and go, do you know what? I can do that better. And rather than chastising yourself, just say to yourself, I'm a good decision maker. Bang, I'm going to do this. We'll look at other personality types. This isn't just about the situation. This covers all our lives, all aspects of our lives. So I'm going to clock off now so we can get this loaded up. Any questions, post below. Bye-bye.